Just waiting. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Now it's happening. Happy Wednesday night, everybody that is looking at the screensaver while I make us go live. We got Ryan Chute in the house. He's chilling. Just chilling over. Is it Chute or Shooty? How do we shoot?
Just don't call me late for dinner. I'll be good.
I got a guy that I work with who's Skip Chute.
Skip Chute.
I don't know which one you guys spelled it wrong, but his is SHUTE.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's a different clan from maybe the French, the Germans,
you guys came over on different boats.
Different boats, right?
But I do like to not intentionally, but I just always want to put a C in his name. I feel like it should be SCH, not just SH. Feels like a shortcut.
You could go to the office and get like Schrute, like just throw an R in there as well.
We should call him that. That would just be fun. I should start sending him some office paraphernalia.
That's it. Yeah.
Just pretend he is. How you doing tonight, Ryan? What you got?
I'm really good. You know, just hanging out. Family's all in bed. I'm hanging out.
Where are you located?
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, so I'm on Atlantic time. It just turned 10 o'clock here.
Oh, damn. We're keeping you up way late. It's past your bedtime.
Well, no, I'm a night owl, so it's,
You're one of those guys?
I am. Yeah.
Well, your family's in bed. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Mine ain't yet.
Yeah. They are kicking up asunder. Yeah. They are not having any of that.
My 2-year-old, I got an 8, 6, and a 2, and my 8 and 6-year-old girls, they just love mama. They'll put up with dad. If mom's out of town, they love dad. But if mom's home, they love mom.
Mm-hmm.
But my 2-year-old boy, like he's all about dad, and it's great having like one of my kids that loves me a little bit more. But it's also like I can hear him just screaming out there, like, "I want dad to put me to bed."
Yeah,
and it's like they want you when it's not a good time. It's not a good time.
That's it. That is like the quintessential time that they want you is at the exact moment that they should not.
What's your spread look like? What's the family looking like over in Nova Scotia there?
I just have one little boy, 9 years old. He's as tall as a 12-year-old, so we're trying to figure out how to keep the kid in clothes. And,
all flood pants. They just outgrow them, and they're just ankles are always cold.
That's it, all the time, freezing cold.
Are you tall? Or is your wife tall, or is it just an anomaly?
I'm really tall, and my wife is just like a normal sized person.
But he got your sticks.
Yeah.
What you a baller? Did you use your height to your advantage?
I played basketball growing up, and then I worked for a semi-professional basketball team for a couple of years. Yeah, so basketball is a big part of my life. Yeah.
Cool. What like where at semi-pro? Canada?
Canadian? It was Canadian League. The guy that was started it was trying to make things happen in Canada. He got like a dozen teams across Canada to start up, and we were in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We were kind of the largest of the teams, and
sweet.
My job was to sell stuff.
How'd that go? Did you sell some stuff?
Yeah, really well. Yeah.
I mean, like when you say sell stuff, was it like gear? Was it
no sponsorships for the team? So we sold the team sponsorships. We sold VIP and season tickets, game night tickets, package and suite tickets.
Canada is a lot of east to west. You guys got, the U.S. has a lot of that going on, but you guys have like more of it going on.
Yeah.
How is traversing that? Like, were you guys going all the way over to like Vancouver and you're just jumping on, I don't know, what is that, like a 6-hour plane ride?
Yeah. Vancouver's like 8 hours, coast to coast. Toronto, and then like a whole bunch of places around Toronto. So like 2-hour drives from there, Rochester and Buffalo, a couple of those kind of northern state cities, and then a bunch of maritime cities as well. In Halifax, Prince Edward Island had a team, St. John had a team. So there's a bunch of places where we could get there in 2 to 4 hours on a bus or fly. Were
you ever just like scooting around in your loafers and like a baller would be like taking a jump shot and you just come up behind him and just swat him?
Just like completely like slam him down. Yes. Yeah. I did get to play with some of these guys. They're former NBA players. Some of them are really, really high level pro guys. They were just fantastic. Just an amazing group of guys who just doing this for the love of the game.
It always blows my mind how good some dudes are at basketball, and they like can barely sniff the pros. And like you watch them play, and you're like, man, this guy doesn't miss any shots. Like it makes it look so easy, and you're like, why isn't he a pro? And then you see what the pros do, and you're like, oh, yeah, they're on a whole nother level. It's crazy.
And look, when you get into proximity to a basketball team, in the same arena, we had a hockey team, and just underneath the basketball court, there's a sheet of ice where we play hockey because it's Canada, and they were all like the junior league team, and you know, it's you put the two side by side, and it's like watching these tiny little children hanging out with these giant, giants of men. It's fascinating to see how physical, how substantial these guys are as human beings.
Yeah, I remember I had a weird double encounter with Dikembe Mutombo one time. I don't know if you would believe this, but I recognized him each time. I don't think he recognized me either time.
Like neither one. That's like, what is up, Mutombo?
Yeah, like I was at the time I was doing the corporate thing, and I was in China a lot for work, and like flew back, and you have to go past the fruit sniffing dog. Have you ever been around the fruit sniffing dog in the airport?
No, I mean that means so many things depending on context. You mean like the fruits? Like
I'm not even trying to be funny right now. Like most of the time, I'm trying to be funny, but right now I'm just like, this dog was hired to sniff for fruit. And at first, it was this little cute pup, like a beagle or something. I don't know my dog types. I don't know what the hell he was, but cute little puppy, and he's like sniffing all the bags. And I assume he's sniffing for drugs, because that's what you would assume a dog is sniffing for in an airport.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing that distracted me from him and his adorableness as a little puppy was Dikembe. But I did notice this fruit sniffing dog found a culprit, and I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be so cool watching this go down." Like he was all over it. He was like, "I'm here. I found him, Dad. He's right here." And then like this lady who looks like my mom pulls out an orange from her bag, and then they gave the dog a treat. And I was like, "Wait, what? Oh, you can't, because you can't bring fruit in from other countries. That's like a big no-no." And they didn't care about drugs. You could bring all the drugs in you want. That's fine.
That's right.
You keep that damn orange out of the United States of
America.
America.
I love it, God. Don't smuggle those drugs in fruit like that. Like that would be you're going to get busted for the fruit.
Yeah, don't try it. It was just so funny. Like she didn't know what to do. Right? She was like freaking out. Like, and nobody knew what was going on. It was just like, why does this dog want fruit so bad? And then they were just like, "Okay, ma'am, carry on." And I was just like, it was so anticlimactic, but it got everybody's attention when that dog started going nuts. And then there he was, Dikembe, and just like, I mean, he's a head and some shoulders taller than everybody in that airport. Just walking through there, you can't miss him. Like if you know what he looks like, he can't hide. There's no way he can hide.
And he's in China, right?
This was in Minneapolis. I had just flown back from China.
Okay, all right. It's like, I mean, the disposition, like the differential happens a lot more dramatically in China than it does in.
Yeah, Yao Ming must have had one hell of a time trying to blend in over there. Like, people probably thought it was two dudes, one guy on another guy's shoulders or something.
That's right. But I don't know. I don't understand it. There's no trench coat.
Yeah, how does he do it? He's a magician. But 2 days after I saw Dikembe there, I was in a hotel like for a corporate event over the next weekend, and I was getting off the elevator, and he was getting on, and again, it's just like, oh, you know what I mean? You're just looking straight up, and so I gave him the "what's up," and he just looked at me like, "I don't know you, man."
That's right. Yeah,
he was nice. He was like, "Hey, brother," or what? I can't do his accent, so I'm just not going to try. But he's like, "Hey, brother." And
that was really good. What is it, like a Minneapolis accent?
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do the African accent. I don't have that one in the bag. But yeah, it was noticeable. He had to do the old like that to get into the elevator. He couldn't just walk onto the elevator. I was like, that's just not a thing I ever considered as a problem I would have in my life. Is having to. That was
crazy. First time I met a 7'1" player. He comes up to me, super kind, super gentle guy, and he goes out to shake my hand, and his like whole hand just completely wraps around my hand like I'm a small toddler, and I'm like, mercy me, this is like a strange feeling because I'm not usually the small guy in the room.
Well, how tall do you go?
I'm 6'3".
Oh yeah, you're like small for a point guard in the
yeah, like I'm like me and Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah, you grew up playing center, and then like the higher level you play, like they move you from center down to power forward, down to small forward, and pretty soon you're playing point guard.
Well, eventually I was right on the bench. Yeah, like they just like.
Oh, I have a really good spot there next to me. It's like perfect spot.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I want to get into how you got to be the Wizard of Ads and where you're headed with the business. But first, I feel like we always got to do, besides the basketball, we got to know where you came from. And so give us you get to choose the starting point, but we got to do some chronological. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Chronological E.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that. You can go back to conception to yesterday, anywhere between there. You can pick up the story and give us a little like cliff notes where Ryan Chute came from, and then we'll get into what you're up to now and where the hell you're going.
Yeah, well, listen, the path for me was growing up in the family business. You know, my grandfather owned a furniture and appliance and electronics store. My grandmother worked on the clothing side, and it was kind of like a department store in a small town in rural Nova Scotia.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, and they're just entrepreneurial sorts. You know, my as I grew up and got basically every job in the business, from cleaning toilets to mowing grass to weeding, gardens. It was I got into retail. I got on the sales floor and I worked my way through the gulags of retail, and eventually working for the family business becomes fairly limiting, we'll say.
So you said it was your grandparents. Did your parents get involved in it too? Then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was third generation, and I'd worked my way through the ranks. I went to university as a mature student. I dropped out of high school, and then spent a little bit of time in the military. Got back into the business, and worked there for about a decade, and just needed to not be in a small town, with my parents. So I move out west in Canada, Alberta, and work for the corporate side of the business. And during that time, my family sells off the family business. So I'm now looking at 2008, 2009. We're just about to hit the financial crisis.
Yeah, kind of going to hit some recession action now.
Yeah. So we sold the last piece of real estate that we had. I'd met my now wife out there, and we'd been flipping some houses and just kind of doing life,
doing some things.
And my parents split up, and I moved back to try to lend a hand to my mother, and you start to realize what people are like as adults, and that it's not necessarily the world that you want to be in. And I make my way over to the automotive space, and I get in the car business. And not long after that, 2013.
What car business? Just because you were used to retail and selling stuff, and so you're like, I know they sell a lot of these babies, I can go sell some of these? Or was there like, oh, I like cars, let me get into cars? What was the catalyst to dive
it's
into?
Kind of like, I like cars, I'm looking for a job. I'd been in furniture a really long time at that point, and I'm like, let's do something else. And car business was always interesting. And first job I got, I come in a suit, I'm well dressed, I'm articulate and intelligent, and they're like, you seem to have it together more than the average guy who's doing this thing. Hey, do you want to be a business manager and go work in the back office? I'm like, what's a business manager? And I quickly learned the car business and get quite good at what I do fairly quickly. And that afforded me the opportunity to dip my toes in to doing some consulting work, doing the business manager work, just trying to find my spot, trying to find my sweet spot.
Is this like a family-owned dealership, or like a corporate dealership, or like a series of dealership? My cousin runs a dealership, so I don't know shit about it, but I like to act like I do,
Yeah, no, well, it's like dealer groups, or it's like the family. Yeah. And this was family owned. This was a guy who in his own right started off at a Pontiac dealership as a sales guy, and he was so good that back in those days, in probably late 60s, early 70s, Pontiac would come out and they would say, "Hey, you're a superstar. We'll literally fund a car dealership around you." And that's how he got his start. And he's like this, good old boy from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and he just turns it into an absolute empire. He's a brilliant man and hard worker, and a good person, and that's not common, as we know in the car business. There can be some pretty sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from him and his systems and processes, and it was a great environment for me. I really appreciated him. And that allowed me to find the opportunity to travel and do kind of more of what I actually wanted to do in the car business and in business in general, which was to consult about sales and marketing and to help businesses grow. And that's the role I found, and quickly found myself going overseas and doing this in England and South Africa and Ireland and Australia and the Pacific Asia markets, and it was fascinating. And eventually they said, "Hey, why don't you run the Pacific Asia and see what we can do to get that thing built up?" And I did. And
your expat over there, or your
I got my visas, and we lived there for about 1.5 years, and did a whole bunch of stuff. And
at this point, do you have a kiddo yet, or it was just you and your wife?
When we moved, we had just had Oscar. So yeah, he had just arrived on the scene. He flew over his first time, like 14 weeks old.
All right, here we go.
Right, giddy up, pack him up, and Ashley's just an absolute rock star. She's a good sport and looking for an adventure, and we just go on this adventure together. And we do a famously good job in Australia, build it up, and then the tides turn as far as visas and all those other things. So I'm back in Canada and really just kind of miserable at that point in time. I'm just not happy.
Just because it's so cold out, like you're just like,
well,
out of here.
Yeah, just come from Australia, crushing it, making like buckets and buckets of money, huge success, big wins. Come back to Canada where they're doing the same thing, but they've just overplayed it, and it's just gross. It's just no one's happy anymore. Everyone's miserable. You can't show up to a dealership without somebody being just awful.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
gone sour.
This sucks. It's overplayed, and there's no fun in this. And I'm still here to work. Like I'm not going to come in and phone it in for 3 days at a dealership. So, they put me into America and try my luck there. And I'm like, yeah, I like America better. There's a lot more to it. Around that time,
more opportunity, or what do you mean? There's more to it.
More opportunity, different disposition. They weren't saturated like they had just overdone it in Canada so much that it was just unpleasant. But in America, they hadn't. It just wasn't as burnt out.
Gotcha.
So the mood was different, and it really affected me. And I just I'm going from high to really low, and I'd made lots of money. I'd made the company buckets of money, and I'm thinking I'm just going backwards here.
Yeah.
About that time, I've been reading the Monday Morning Memo, which is Roy's thing. It's mondaymorningmemo.com. He's been writing an article a week for 35 years, never missed a Monday in 35 years.
That's impressive.
It's amazing. Like, the man's consistent.
There's a lot of days in there. I think quick math says 650 of them or so forth.
There's
a lot of topics to keep spinning.
This is exactly it, and the man's incredibly well read and a veritable genius, and in the rabbit hole, which is where you click through and you just keep on looking at some of the other interesting things, he's like, I'm thinking about kind of stepping back and doing a thing. So if you want to come to this class, this will be probably one of the last ones I teach. And in the end, a few years later, it was some of the last ones that he taught, and he continues to teach a new thing now that basically he does twice a year so that people can see him. But it boils down to me getting in there and meeting the Wizard of Ads, Roy Williams.
I gotta correct myself because I'm a bookkeeper and I can't handle bad math. It's way more than 600 some. I don't know how I got to that number.
It is,
it's 1,600 some. That's
I didn't want to correct you.
No, I already told my wife tonight. My brain's just going to schmuck. This week I was traveling last week for a convention, and next week is spring break, and we're in Costa Rica. So
Nice.
I think 14 demos this week amidst like all the other client calls.
Yeah.
I'm toast. We still got my 2 busiest days are left, and I'm toast. So
Right.
I did get the calculator out real quick there to confirm well over 1,500 articles. Carry on about rice. Right. I couldn't handle my mess up. I had to come clean.
That's right. Yeah.
Right away.
So this is breaking news. Yeah. Like I'm glad. See, it really shows the kind of character you are, Dan. It's, you know,
I'm well prepared to be wrong.
You're clearly a good human being.
Just bad at math. Very dependent on spreadsheets all of a sudden.
That's right. Yeah. Right. It's not, you're a bookkeeper though. Like, so
everything's digital, it's all digital now.
Right.
It's sad.
But the thing is, I think the most important thing that we recognize from this engagement right now is that you recognize when something is off.
That's true. Right? That's the beauty of accounting. You can make mistakes. It's really easy to undo them and redo them. You just need to make a journal entry.
That's it. Yeah, it's just shuffling things around. Yeah. But that's a valuable trade for what you do. So, yeah. Look, so I'm there. I meet Roy Williams. We're in this 16th century Spanish tower in Austin, Texas, on the peak of a mound, which is a sacred ground for the Indian tribes that were frequenting the area at that time, about 2,500 years prior. And they're on the ley lines, which is why the largest Hindu temple in North America is also right beside us. And it's just a really good energy. And this place is fascinating. It's all kind of oriented around Don Quixote and Dulcinea and the Anima and the Animus and Ernest Hemingway. And there's just all these fantastical stories around you, telling the stories. Yeah, right. It's history, art, writing, literature, photography, wine, whiskey. That one of the largest private collections of whiskey in the northern hemisphere is at that location in an actual whiskey vault. With many thousands of bottles. So just a fascinating place, right? Like we're in a like a grown up playland. It's just fantastic. And they go about like just breaking your brain for 3 days. You're just like, what has happened to me? They're talking about third gravitating bodies and why the flag on the picture of the flag of raising the flag of Iwo Jima is backwards, and why people are so attracted to it and they don't know why, but they're also like, it makes sense and it reconciles, and why shadows in Monet paintings are one of the most prolific changes in how we perceive information, because shadows aren't black, right? And up till that point in time, all shadows were just black, right? So they're like, no. How hard is it for you to actually get a shadow done when you're painting in oils? It's insane how hard it is, right? But once you figure it out, you're like, that's revolutionary in the way we consume information. So I'm like, okay, what does this mean to me? Well, I've lived a transactional life. I've had this crazy life of just grinding it out every day, and sales and discounts and offers and shitty bosses and just friction and weaponized fear, shame, and guilt and toxic workplaces and like the classic, retail environment. Yeah. And I emulated a lot of it because like that's what I knew. That's what I saw. That's like I saw my bosses be assholes. So I was like that's the guy I need to be, and this is how things get done. Well, that started to spark this whole idea that I live now to this day. It's such a different life, a life that recognizes transactional for what it is, but orients towards a world of relational. And I've come to find out it's the notion of branding companies, the notion of telling brand stories seems a bit airy-fairy to most people, including me back in 2015. Yeah. And today I look at it and go, when you know what I know and have had the opportunity to go through and live in my life, you realize there is no better way to approach how you're going to grow a business with disproportionate profitability. And like, man, talk about game changer. And then I get to hang out with people like Ken Goodrich and other like Brian Enders and Aaron Gaynor and just some of these just brilliantly amazing, awesome guys.
Yeah.
And you realize like these people are good people. They're genuinely salt of the earth, good as they get, people that you want to spend time with because they got the right attitude, they got the right energy about them, they're pointing in the right direction, and there's real opportunity sitting here that we can help unlock in a way that it's friggin' hard to unlock it in home services.
Yeah.
Because it's externally triggered grudge purchases. No one wants to buy that ever, right? So how do you make something that no one wants?
Because something is wrong and you need to fix it.
Right? So we're already starting in this negative space. How do we orient positivity in that? And that challenge was just really exciting to me, and we've gotten really good at it.
You said a word when you were talking about the shadows and the paintings that I think really hits home for me, which is perception. Because, and I live in that world. I do bookkeeping for people.
Yeah.
People friggin' hate their books. Small business owners are like afraid of their numbers. They avoid it. They think bookkeeping is, I always like, I was on stage a couple times last week and I always love to go and present. And I say, when I say bookkeeping, you think fat old lady in a dark room. And here I am. I'm the fat old lady, but I'm up here drinking a beer and we're having fun. Like we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk some numbers. We're gonna do some math.
That's right. It doesn't have to suck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a perception thing. Like it's got a negative connotation, so people avoid it for a little bit. And if you can change their idea of what it really is and how useful it can be, you can make it fun. It doesn't have to suck. So
that's right.
I love that. I love that word. It's all perception.
It's hugely perception, and you know the world is perception. You know that when you really start to understand the physics and the true laws of nature behind the world, an objectively real world is colorless, odorless. There is no sound, there is no light, there is no nothing. It is a series of atoms that buzz around. Everything that we see, touch, know, and feel, understand in every way is what we perceive it to be in our brains, right? To go even further than that, it's not only what we perceive it to be, but words have more power than any of the other 12 ways that the brain can perceive information. Words are the thing that start wars and end them, create the greatest loves and the greatest hates in life. And when we start to understand the power of words and how we orient them even to color, sound, or anything else, smells, you name it, we take hold of the most powerful way to influence people, quite literally, in the world and the universe.
There was a guy, I just wrote his name down as you were talking about how much words matter. I haven't talked to this guy in a couple of years. He was on the podcast. He has a junk removal like coaching group. I forget his last name, but I remember his first name is Andy. So I just wrote down, I got to like reach back out to Andy. He wrote a book called Words Fucking Matter. And I was like, I kind of downplayed it at first. Not that I disagree, but I was just like, it's just like a gimmicky thing to sell some books, right? But over and over and over again, every time something goes wrong or goes right, I'm like, it was always a communication thing.
It's always a communication thing. Gosh darn it. That is the thing.
It's like frustrating how important it is. It's frustrating, but it's so true.
It is frustrating, and within that lies the opportunity. It's so exciting for me when I saw this shift, and this has been 7-8 years now of me just kind of grappling with this challenge, and where it really orients for me is in the scientific theory of friction and resonance and vibration, both positive and negative, how that affects us chemically, biologically, neurologically, and then ultimately psychologically, both as individuals, psychologically speaking, and sociologically speaking, anthropologically speaking, as
kind
groups.
Like chronologically, yeah,
like chronology, yeah. those damn things. But at the end of the day, like, all of this stuff, the biggest thing that I think most people miss is that like bringing all of these disciplines together and having them live in one space instead of just exploring them in their own silos. And when we start to see the marriage come together, you go, oh, here, like, and then what I've done is just simplify the heck out of it to the things that matter most, because there's all kinds of things that matter and a whole bunch of them like don't matter enough, like they're the fringy stuff. We need to pull the trigger on the basic stuff before we get into the more complicated stuff.
How from your trip down to Texas, where you're getting induced into this sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Where
it's definitely probably not a cult, Dan. It's definitely probably not.
I think there's a lot of business masterminding things that are like borderline cult, but like cult's a slippery slope, right? Like they can have a demise or they can have a pretty powerful path. I'm working on starting a cult right now. I call it Business Owner Outdoor Badasses, boob for short. And it's just,
you got my vote.
Yeah, it's the logos. The logos are going to be sweet, if anything. I don't know.
Pretty obvious, really. It's we do it together. It's just two boobs sitting side by side.
The branding's going to be on point. So I mean, like, it's just business owners getting together, doing stuff outsides, and like masterminding, but no agenda. Just like if you're around the right people and you're out duck hunting or deer hunting or fishing or whatever. You're going to have a good time because you're around like-minded people, and you're for sure going to talk about business stuff, but equally important, you're going to talk about marriage and family and God and, wherever else you go. But you're around the right people with the right frame of mind and the right perspective that aren't in their little box of woe is me victim mentality type of crap.
Well, and look, bless the people who are, there's, Roy told me the story of the four people that you meet on the ocean of life: the drifters, the drowners, the surfers, and the navigators. And the people we don't want to surround ourselves is with the drowners, the professional drowners, the victims of circumstance and life just showing up is a problem. Surfers can be saved, right? Because they're riding the waves, they're looking for the opportunity, they're seeking but have not yet found. And for the most part, they're blaming the waves for the conditions. And then you have the drifters, and they're just bobbing around waiting for something to happen to them. They're often the employees who need to be told what to do, right? They're not entrepreneurs. The ones we really want to surround ourselves with are the people that are navigating, right? Because the navigators have a North Star, and we know that the North Star doesn't move in the sky, which means that we can actually go somewhere. And the only people who follow people are people who are going somewhere, because why would you follow somebody who's not going somewhere?
That's a good point. Why would you follow somebody that's not going somewhere?
Right.
I own part of a recruiting company, and I think we should send that in a mirror to everybody that signs up for the service, so that they have issues with their recruiting, then they would just tell them to look into the mirror, because it always starts with, are you somebody that people are going to want to follow?
Are you? Yeah. What are you? What are you? Are you? And a lot of them are surfers, right? There's like, oh, maybe this HVAC thing's gonna work out. Right? It's like, golly, like what are your aspirations? What are you hoping to do with your business? Like, I don't know, like maybe like, meet payroll this week. Right. Yeah, that's certainly a respectable and admirable aspiration, but like, what's the big thing? Like Tommy Mello says in his world, it's like, if my vision is not big enough to fit all of my employees' vision, then my vision's not big enough, and no employee is going to be a part of my world to follow the thing that I'm doing to attract the people he wants to attract. And I respect that.
I love the picture that paints of like, your dreams got to be so big, everybody's dream fits inside of it. And I've heard Tommy talk a few times and say that, and I'm like, man, I got to like make sure I embrace that in my own business.
Right.
It's so true. It's so true. Because who wants to follow somebody who has smaller dreams than they have? Like, how are you going to follow that person?
Yeah.
You feel like you're going backwards.
And look, if I was following a guy, I'd be following Aaron Gaynor. If I was a tech in the field, and I'd be following him, because not only has he said, here's exactly what we're going to do, we're going to make the best damn $100 million company that there's ever been, but Aaron Gaynor is also the guy who literally has it mapped out on his walls of his business, where you can know exactly what the roadmap is to get there. How many trucks, average tickets, conversion rates for every single department. He knows exactly what he's going to do the thing. And it is crystal clear how they are going to win the game. And I respect that because they keep leaning into it and they're on that path. There is no doubt in my mind. I have 100% confidence that he's going to do the thing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. How did you end up from this event in Texas? I assume you were there before you were a partner.
Yeah, for 2 years. I became a partner in 2017.
So what was that path? Did you just go up and say like, "Hey, I like what you guys got going on. Can I be a part of it?" Or what was that interaction like?
I didn't even know there was a thing to be a part of, to be honest with you. I was like, Roy had talked about his marketing agency. And I kind of eventually put 2 to 2 together. I went to dozens of classes over the 2 years. Mm-hmm. I just kept showing up. He got to know me, and that's how you become a partner. There's no resume. No one can like apply to be a partner anymore. Yeah. So I just showed up, and then one day I was like being me, I'm very resourceful and found Roy's real email address, and I sent him 3 words, I should say. Can we talk? And that started off a partnership, and then a relationship, and I'd like to think a friendship today with Roy as a mentor and a friend who's incredibly supportive and committed to me, and me vice versa to him, where we're just looking at how I can build my empire within his big vision of what we can do to serve the people who we sell to. I've chosen to orient towards Essential Home Services of America as my primary focus, because I really got good at it, and I have a lot of feelings and things to say about it, and beliefs that I can help move the majority at a disproportionate rate.
Why home services after a bunch of retail experience, auto experience? What was the gravitation towards home services?
It was a bit of a gravitation. It was a bit of like magnetic. You know how you have the magnets and they snap together in one end, but you turn it around and it like repels each other on the other. Well, it's like retail was like repelling me, and it was because it was the thing I knew, and it was the thing I survived in, right? But it's almost like
it's like a bad high school ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, right. Like it's like there's like some bad juju there. So you're like, do I really want to try to make this thing work? With my ex, and it's like. Yeah, right. Like it's just super twitchy people who are convinced that the next lead is the only lead, and that they measure you your worth and value off of how many leads you can generate. Mm-hmm. Through COVID, I'd started a lead gen company in Canada with a friend of mine who was in the car business still, and he was doing it and needed some help. So we're like, we're basically sitting at home. We can't do anything. So let's do this thing. And 6 months in, we're just like, man, this is like the most awful people on every side of the situation that you could possibly ever spend time with. And it just sucks the life out of you. Like, we need to sell it. We sold it for $750,000 and moved on with our lives.
That's a nice little exit with some pocket change to go do stuff.
It's pretty tight fast little exit. It was a quick turnaround. We knew what we were doing. And at the end of the day, the demand for that was just astronomical, but it was gross. It's just gross. So I looked at that, and then I'm like, do I want to split my message between retails and HVAC or plumbing or electric? And the answer is just eventually it just got to the point of no. And Roy was encouraging me the other direction. He's like, dude, like everybody is exiting from these companies. We've lost companies because we don't like working with private equity people, because private equity people really don't understand long-term strategy, because that's not their business model.
Yeah, they're 3 years and they're out.
Right. Yeah. So a long-term strategy in a three-year game is dumb, right? And they're gonna just go back to the cocaine of pay-per-click and conversions and measuring all kinds of dumb shit that doesn't matter. Yep. And that makes them feel good. So feel good away and overspend on your marketing and do your thing. We're gonna go play another game with people who actually are enjoyable to be around. but then our clients, these people who have just made famous amounts of money, literally famous in some cases, like people know them, and they're like, yeah, I didn't get my buyout, and they screwed me over on this, or they like kicked me out of my own company, or they like all the things that they lie to you about and tell you that they're not going to do, they go ahead and do. And
Oh yeah, it's a temporary promise at best.
yeah, so look, some are great. There's a handful of amazing private equity companies that I respect. The majority of them aren't in that for the right game and the right means, and they certainly don't understand the industry. Um, And then I'm spending a little bit of time 2 months ago with Ryan Fenn. We're hanging out. We had gone to the Broadway show that I had been a executive producer on with Lisa Nichols, and we're talking about roofers. And he goes, "Yeah, man, I just got back from this roofing conference, and it's just not the same vibe as home service guys." And I say, what do you mean? He goes, "Well, I mean, like super transactional, like roofing is transactional. It's like
storm
chase, one and done. They're not looking to build a relation. They're looking to close a deal, and then not nurture anything." And I go, I mean, I respect the hustle. It's not my vibe. And that's when I really kind of got to the point where I'm like, my organization can absolutely help roofing companies, but Ryan Chute is going to spend more of his time focused in on the relational companies, the essential home services at first, and we might dip into some healthcare stuff, but where there is again an essential relational need there.
Yeah.
But I've learned where to hang my hat. I want to live and hang out and spend time with the people who are like Fred Rogers talks about, the helpers, right? When you see a problem and something bad happen, what do you look for? You look for the helpers, right? And that's HVAC technicians and plumbers and electricians and nurses. The people who are running towards the danger and dealing with it bravely and courageously.
Yeah.
And that's just fits with me. That fits with who I am as a person and who I want to serve as people. And that's where I hang my hat today.
One of the things I have found too, when you're working with like the salt of the earth people, is you just get to have a lot more fun. Like, just flat out. Like,
right.
your customers are a blast. Not all of them. You get a oddball every once in a while, or a bad apple, but
yeah,
it's so fun working with awesome business owners that are also just trying to help people.
Yeah.
It makes your employees' lives way better.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, your employees are the ones that are the first line of defense against any BS. And so
that's it.
Do a good job of attracting the right clients. Your employees are way happier. And there's a big trickle down effect that if your employees are really happy, Ryan is really happy. Like, it's magic. It's magic.
Well, and it's not just that I'm happy, but I'm fulfilled, right? As a business owner, when my employees are living my intention as the commander's intent of helping people win in a trustworthy and grateful manner, and we're all pointed towards this big vision that I have big enough that can fit their visions in it too, and I'm living a leadership's life of purpose in creating a happy, healthy, wealthy culture. What I'm actually doing is I'm creating an environment, an incubator for other little mini me's to become all full-grown me's and bigger than me's. And in that process, we're delivering a brilliant buying experience, and the employee in the buying experience are the things we talk about in the advertising, right? Yeah. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of story, experience, and culture. So when I lean into brand being your culture, and your culture is your brand, and it's about orienting everything to making it easier for sellers to sell, so that they can go ahead and make it easier for buyers to buy, because they're the front line. It's all their communication, but it's intentionalized through you.
Yeah. How, as far as Wizard of Ads goes, how do you lay out your service offerings? Like, what are the different things that you guys help clients with? Is there a cadence of the order that you got to do, and it like a la carte, they get to pick stuff, or is it like, hey, if you work with us, this is exactly how we do it, and this is the way it's done? There's not a
it's such a weird thing when you do what we do. We have what's called well, I mean, you've heard all kinds of words for it: bespoke, custom tailored, custom in some fashion, but we're following a framework that allows us to build our custom solution within. Creativity is never going away. It doesn't matter what AI and all this other stuff. AI is fantastic for just like a bazillion things, but it's not going to write your ads. And if you think it is, your ads suck. So if you want to win, like, do something where you actually have somebody who's thinking about this trajectory in a very, very different way, because we don't think about ads in the way that we write them. We think about ads like screenwriting. We think about how we're going to write that sitcom series for the next 15 years and have a Seinfeld or a Big Bang Theory or a Friends on our hands. Not a
you had me at Seinfeld. You did.
Right. I mean, thank you. That's right. Yeah, trying to lean into the generation that we're dancing around here. So like when you start looking at how do we solve this problem, 99.9% of the planet is not marketing strategists. They're a channel salesperson, right? And they do the hands-on keyboard thing to deliver the thing they sell. Great. That doesn't make them marketers. That makes them channel specialists doing a job that is absolutely essential and critical. But don't think that you've solved your marketing when you've got your Google going. It's just like, that's like just this little drop in the bucket. Or when you get your truck wrap done, like, no, like that's like the book cover of your book. The name of your book is like the name of your business. Like, how many names of books have changed after the book has been written to a completely different name than what the book was originally named? Like almost all of them.
I was gonna say, now that you say that, it's like I never paid attention to that, but now I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that. That's
right.
Really interesting.
So when you think about it, you're like, I don't know, how do you name your business? Well, we'll tell you how to name your business. I'll tell you how to name your business for free. That's not what's important to us. What's important to us is that when you're ready to lean in and be your brand, as opposed to putting on platitudes and or being the superficial nonsense that everyone's saying, 100% satisfaction guarantee and convenient hours and staff that really cares about your needs. Like, so what? Stop talking about all the crap that everyone talks about. If you could literally write an ad and you could just take your name out and put somebody else's name in, you don't have an ad for yourself. You have an ad for your industry.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're not
a good point.
Right. You're not actually advertising for yourself, and you're not going to, will you get the odd lead from it? Yes. Will they have any feeling about it? No. If you have no feelings attached to your ads, what you have is like a big pile of bricks. Let me explain that. That sounds weird. Every time you have a brand impression, you have a brick, right? Okay. And there's 3 parts of the brain. There's 7 seconds, 7 days, and then long-term memory. We get past the 7 seconds with repetition. We get past 7 days with salience, saying something that actually matters. And then we actually live in the long-term memory with just a whole bunch of long-term repetition. So however much you're spending and how much repetition you get, the more it kind of just starts showing up there and takes up residence. Now, if you're just doing a little bit of advertising here and there and everywhere, it's like taking the brick and chucking it back into the back lot, and then hoping somebody finds the brick when it's time for them to buy your thing. Right. The second way to do that is to have a little bit of a plan, but a shitty message. And what you're doing is you're taking a wheelbarrow of bricks and you're dumping them all in one spot.
Yeah, they'll trip over this. They'll trip over this if they come through here.
That's right. Like they're walking down the street in the ghetto and they see your stack of bricks. They'd be like, bricks, right? Like, but it's like bricks, like a pile of bricks. Like how many people are remembering a pile of bricks? The third option is that you do this. You actually have a plan. You hit repetition at a very, very high level in all kinds of channels, not just on radio or any of that nonsense. It's a bunch of stuff, right? And then we take that brick, and every time we get the brick, they feel something, and we just slather on some mortar. We build the foundation, and that eventually that foundation becomes a McMansion. Now the person's walking down the street, and oh dang, their hot water tank breaks, and they go, oh, the McMansion place, yeah, they do hot water tanks, right? Yeah. I remember them; they're a landmark, right? Yeah. See those guys everywhere. I remember them. I had instant landmark recall of that thing. And even if the building is just being built still for those same customers, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's the building that's going up down the street. It's the new McMansion that's being built, right? that's called aided recall. Like you're not even winning the game yet, but you won enough to be able to get the click where you get clicks, right? Be it they go right to your domain, be it they see your thing and click on your QR. This is what we call presence. This is conversion presence or zero moment presence.
Yeah.
This is the moment where they go, oh yeah, and click. This is what you're building. This is what you're building.
As you say that, and you put it really well, I observed it happen in I'm part of a window cleaning and pressure washing company in the Twin Cities here. And we've been at it for a while. We used to be Blue Skies, and then we merged with, and I was running it. I was climbing ladders. I was oxidizing some siding and burning some lawn when I was soft washing. And we merged with a competitor of ours because I was moving on and doing more bookkeeping stuff. So his brand was Kahuna Window Cleaning. It's a fun, goofy. It's got the big like Hawaiian totem pole style like logo head. And so I was like, Andy, we were the majority owners, but it's like, Andy, you're the operator. Like, this has got to be your thing. It's got to be your brand. We're keeping Kahuna. We'll phase out Blue Skies. Anything can be Blue Skies. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody sees a blue sky every other day. So,
hard to own.
Yeah. So we kept Kahuna. Slowly got all the vehicles wrapped with that. We got 15 vans driving around, and we did billboards this year. And billboards are funny because people can't really buy from them because you can't like put a QR code on there. I did tell him his wife is a cop, and I was like, we should put a QR code on there, and then Kelly can sit right by it, and she'll just pull people over left and right that are trying to snap the QR code. She can write them a ticket for like $150 for having their phone in their hand while they're driving. It's like the perfect 1-2 punch.
This is it. This is it.
It's like money's made.
That's just working smarter, not harder.
But so we put these billboards all over town, and I think we put $100,000 into it. And immediately I was like, this is the dumbest money we've ever spent. Like, I feel like we're just lighting a briefcase of money on fire. And our acquisition cost on those billboards was horrendous. If you just look at the billboards, who called, said they saw your billboard, and then bought, average ticket sucked. Conversion rate sucked. The billboard sucked. But our Google leads went from 480 to 1,700.
Yep.
And we didn't do anything else different. That was it. And it was just like, oh shit, we're the people that they see everywhere. And so they go and they're like, what was that? Oh, the window. Oh yeah, Kahuna. Duh. Right. They I don't think they were searching for Kahuna because who's going to remember that name? But like, it just gets in there.
Aided recall. Yeah. It's a very, very real thing. The aided recall thing is without getting all sciencey is the thing that just goes ping, trigger, and it's a quick whirl. You'll read it in Cialdini's book, Influence. The quick whirl thing, right? It's not unlike Pavlov's dog, right? Meat paste, ring a bell. And these are all the things that do the thing. Now, if you'd taken that same $100,000, put it onto radio in the Twin Cities, and I know the Twin Cities budget's really well.
We've done that before.
And I can almost, without a shadow of a doubt, be convinced that radio didn't work as well because
it did a while ago, and then it slowly went down.
And it's strategy. With radio, you've got to do two things that are never sold that way. One is that you have to have somebody else writing the ads, because nobody at the radio station has a freaking clue how to write an ad. And their job is, quite literally, by policy, don't make this ad better than the other ad, because then our expectations from our other clients will go up and we won't be able to fulfill. When you have that policy at a radio station from your writers, that's not a great place to get your ads written.
That's a good point.
It's scary. And it's literally written policy. We've seen the policies physically, actual handwritten, like in our hands.
That explains the downtrend of data over time with radio, because it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And people just, I mean, like, part of it's the phase out of radio with
you'd think
podcasts and stuff like that. But
how many people do you think listen to the radio in Twin Cities?
I don't even know if I want to take a guess. I feel like this is a setup, Ryan.
It is an absolute setup. Yeah, I'm just about to sting you. Yeah. In every single city in the top 200 markets in America, over 50% of the population will listen to the radio. Every single city. The national average is 83%. And the most common averages, there's about 78% of Twin Cities will listen to the radio daily. And we know that without a shadow of a doubt being accurate, more than Google is accurate by a multiple of accuracy, because there's so many bots and so much corruption on digital fraud. We think we're getting all kinds of action that we're not actually even getting. It's bots, it's click farms and all kinds of other things that are trying to burn your business down and overspend your budgets on garbage. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But in radio, particularly Twin Cities, which is a Nielsen rated market, they have this little thing. It's like this. It's about that big, and it just picks up the subsonic pulse of every radio station in America, and it tells you exactly how long a person listens, how long, like it has to be auditory enough that you can actually hear the radio being played, how long it is, how many stations, when the stations are played, like to a T, and then they know, of course, the demos of the city, and they can tell you with every single city without a shadow of a doubt the exact amount of people that are listening to the radio at any given time in any given city in America. And the top 200 cities, there is not one city that falls below half the population, 18 and older.
As you say that, like I believe your data.
Yeah, and it's searchable. Like you can Google that, you can chat GPT it. At the end of the day, I don't need to kind of posture. At the end of the day, that data exists and it's public. But when we realize, oh shoot.
It was just weird how like it just stopped. It just slowly got worse and worse and worse.
Well, and there's two reasons it does. One, frequency's wrong. You're not getting it listened to enough.
Yeah.
So it's like, remember that brick that we just chucked back into the back lot?
We're just throwing a brick back there every once in a while.
Right. Yeah. That's basically what's happening. And then you're like saying, why can't you find me? Like my bricks are all back in that tall grass somewhere.
Yeah. Right? Over the last 3 years, I got like a dozen back in the tall weeds back there.
Right. Yeah. Like, just, why don't you remember me? Then the second part is there's no mortar, right? You might have put a bunch of bricks back there, but there's no mortar on the bricks making a person feel about your business, right? And when you have both the frequency and the mortar, dear Lord, you're like now we're talking about, and we're not talking about a crazy budget. 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting with Roy for 2 days and we're going over strategies, just like how do you do this thing for little tiny companies that are $1 million or sometimes even less, but maybe $1 million to $2 million, but they're ambitious. Like they're trying to get to $2, $3, $4, $5 million. And they could. Well, it's not to spend more than you have because that's ridiculous. But if we just took one station in the Twin Cities, just one tiny little station that said, yeah, I'll take your $5,000 a month, your $6,000 a month. And I'm kind of really actually a little bit hungry for you. And then you get the Wizard of Ads national media buying deal on it because we're buying so much that they're like, oh, well, you're buying like $2.5 million from us with all of your clients in Twin Cities. And I just made that number up. But so we'll tack that onto this cumulative number, and we'll give you a ringer on this one and give you the same deal as we did on those ones, because they're just like, I mean, that's just a commission check for them. Like, win, right?
The space already exists.
Exactly, right. So if there's availability, and now we're talking about a washing company, cleaning company, boom, they're getting diversity on their stuff, and now they're going to have ads that sound way better than any of the garbage they're going to have to produce, and it's going to do the thing, which is point positive that radio actually still does work. And here's the question: like, do you want to talk to, I don't know, 1 million people on Facebook once, right, as they doom scroll past you at a pace that is as fast as one's thumb, or
their mood is going down because they're being fed a bunch of clickbaity shit to get
like you think your ad got seen, but what it really did was just got zipped by, right, and ignored or hated because you did some sort of interruption ad. Like here's an ad. Here's a company I'll never use. Click right as their finger hovers over the skip now button. Number one converting button on the internet. Skip ad, right? Better converting.
My 3 kids know how to skip stuff on YouTube. Like my 2-year-old just knows exactly where the skip is.
It is, and then and the finger hovers, right? Like there's
Yeah,
more entertainment and pleasure in getting the skip ad as fast as you're allowed to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Than there is in the ad. So like we have to think about the emotional environment that we're in. Radio, you're trapped in your car and you're listening to that ad anyway. And guess what you just did? You just talked to your customer for 2.5 hours a friggin' year. Woo!
Yeah.
Who's winning the game? The guy who's been listening to your ad a bazillion times. Now, if I talk to 40,000 people and I spend $20,000 doing it, or if I spend $60,000 and I get about 120, 150,000 people that listen to my ad consistently 3 times a week, every week for 52 weeks in the year, none of them need your thing right now. None of them need it, right? They're not listening to the ad going, and I'm going to call those guys, right? It's like it's not late night TV, and we're not selling the ShamWow. What we're doing is we're saying, know, like, and trust me for when you need my thing. Let me just pleasantly remind you that I'm your friend and I'm going to be your loyal companion along the way. And entertainment is the currency of that too busy public who is not looking to pay attention to you, but is forming a feeling about you and slathering mortar on your bricks and building this McMansion for that time that they need your thing. And when they need your thing, they know where to look. They remember the McMansion.
It's funny you say that because accidentally, I mean, I should have talked to you a long time ago about this stuff because I could have done my business with all this in mind. And I did some of it accidentally. And even just having this podcast, I get so many people that are like, oh yeah, I watch all your shit. Oh, you guys are great. It's so entertaining. Business podcast. Thank you. Right? And I never, this is embarrassing. Like I like doing it this way for my bookkeeping business because it's fun. And I want to have fun, and I want to do business stuff, and I want to do it all at the same time, talking to people like you. I never once thought to do it in our window cleaning business. It just never even crossed my mind. I'm like, nope, we got to run the Google ads, and if we do this, and then we'll convert that, and an acquisition cost, and an ROI, and I just turned into like a robot.
When you did that, were you chopping up lines of cocaine? Because that's
I might as well have been. Like maybe that would have helped.
That's what they are, right? It's like, yeah. I mean, that's also a strategy, but a different clientele.
I'll text Andy right now and let him know we need more cocaine.
Coke. We need more Coke.
Yeah. I figured it out.
But it's kind of the thing, though, right? Like you get addicted to the thing. And look, I lived that life. I lived the transactional life. I understand. I respect the heck out of the business owners who work their butts off so hard to pay Google to be their 30% friggin' revenue partner and not ever have to sacrifice one share or minute of time in their lives, aside from causing you the occasional, 2 or 3 weeks of grief when they want to suspend your account and go on vacation.
Oh, man. There's like... hasn't happened to us in our business, and like in this business, I'm independent of it. In our window cleaning business, hasn't happened to us. But I've lost bookkeeping clients because Google shut them down, and they're like, I was so dependent on it, I have nothing.
Right.
That sucks, man.
Isn't that terrifying?
Horrendous.
What a horrible way to run a business. Right? Just what a horrible way to be reliant on a channel that is doing everything to spend more of your money every minute of the day.
And they're good at it. They're super good at it. They've got
their whole job. And you know what's going on right now is that they're shitting the bed because they're so afraid and they're so upset with this whole shift towards generative search that Bing has picked up 10% market stake, and they're like, we're not making our numbers, and we have shareholders to appease to. We're all like a house of cards, and we're all losing our jobs, and everyone's going away, and so raise the prices, right? Who's paying that? That's not Google.
It's the same thing that Home Advisor and Angie's List did, right? Like as Google started getting better and better, all of a sudden Home Advisor started getting worse and worse, and then Angie's List panicked and tried to take all their customers' money, and then like went away for a minute, and then came back and like bought Home Advisor, and they doubled down on shittiness.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we got to sell these shitty leads to more shitty people.
Well, and understand that if you're buying from an aggregator, they're buying from Google. right. So you just paid the Google price and then the aggregator price, and then that lead just went to 7 of your closest friends. Who also want to
race for a tire kicker.
That's right. Like talk about the worst business model. So many of our clients are like, yeah, no, we're not ever going to waste our money on that. Like we're going to spend more money on telling 120,000 people a week that we matter and that we're fun and you should know us, like us, and trust us for that minute that the thing happens, because we're selling home services, not Lululemon pants.
Yeah. How do you so let's take a guy that's like just starting out, and let's say he's at 200,000 and he's working his way off the truck.
Yep.
He wants to start like developing this.
Right.
This is like a lot of our bookkeeping clients. I try to get them at that point. And
Yep.
then I answer this question a lot. And then right after I answer this question, we start talking about marketing. So
Yep.
this is selfishly, I'm asking you this question because I'm going to take what you tell me, and I'm going to be more helpful to my clients.
Please do. I want you to. I am an open book.
No, I love it. I love it. I like these right around 200,000. They're like, when should I have bookkeeping? And I'm like, right about now, man.
Like
now is when you start having bigger trade-offs. You decide, do I want an admin person? Do I want a technician? Do I want to build a new website? Do I want to start spending money on these ads? Do I go rent a location? And all these things are financial decisions. What's up, Barry Little? Barry Little's in the house. He said he's late to the party. Barry, you're probably out just like cleaning right now. Barry's probably out there cleaning some shit right now.
What's up, Barry? Good job, man.
But so I like intercept them at this level, and they're always like, I got to do more marketing, right? I got to get my second truck on the road, and I got to hire these guys. What should I do? And so I think there's this story to tell.
Yeah.
But early on, right, marketing is an investment. And when we do bookkeeping, I always teach it like that. It's like, you have to spend money to make money. It is an investment. But if you're going to invest money in it, it has to make you more money. Not tomorrow, right? If you go put money in the stock market, it doesn't make you more money tomorrow. Mm-hmm. First you go backwards to go forwards. So don't be naive about it. But what is from a telling your story and building your brand, do you have like a general cadence or like a step 1, step 2, step 3 to give to a new business owner that's like just starting to build and starting to scale from hey, this is it, like do these in this order to start building that awareness of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Absolutely. So two different worlds. One of them is ours at the Wizard Academy. You come to a class and you learn about how to like write an ad about yourself and tell that story. And those are, that's a not-for-profit school. I don't make money off of it. It's that's not my intent. My intent is to point you towards the place that transformed my life, and it transformed it because you're like, oh, this is how you tell stories. And the other is brand story experts, like not the company that does it, but Dan Miller's book, Brand Story, how to build a brand story.
Story brand stuff.
Yeah. Story brand is a powerful thing. Now, the guys who created their own kind of version of that are a bit goofs, but at the end of the day, Dan Miller's solid dude, and he's really helping people just craft a story, and he charges like $2,000 to just kind of work through that. What you're going to find is it's just astoundingly difficult, because you're inside the bottle, and it's really hard to read the label on the outside when you're inside the bottle. So having outside help is really key, and having people actually know what they're talking about really kind of makes a huge difference. So talk to storytellers, talk to poets, talk to musicians who write music. If you don't have the money, if you do, then go to a Wizard Academy class in Austin, Texas. Or get with us, and we'll give you some general advice and show you some of our articles that we've written and point you towards kind of the path that you might want to do it early on. We can actually become quite affordable for smaller guys. And it's usually that 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 mark where we have now a new option with a deeper diversity of clients, of partners now, that we can help smaller businesses like that. The long and short of it, tactically speaking, is the strategy is, one, get your strategy. What do you do well, right? And just being I do the job better is bullshit. Like, stop. Everyone can say that. If you can take your name and replace it with anyone else's name who's going to say the same thing, that's not your story. Your story is, I grew up in a high friction environment, and that friction that I traumatized myself with and dealt with and did the work for to get better, is the thing that makes me better at delivering at what I deliver now. Well, it could be, I'm willing to come to your house at 3:00 in the morning. It might be that I have learned about airflow in a way that no one else has taken the time to learn about airflow, and I'm not going to try to scam you into it. It might be that I'm going to know how to fix your equipment because everyone else is trying to replace your stuff, and frankly, there's a far more affordable way of keeping your equipment alive for the next 20 years. So there's all these different paths that can get you there. The foundation of it is always be cheap until you're not, right? Like be easy to access, right? And there's all kinds of other people who are going to advise you that you need to filter those people out and do this. Like, and those people are right in certain contexts for certain situations, most of which do not apply in 2025 when there is a disparity, a shortage of demand. So long and short of it is now where do I spend my money? Well, once you have a story and you can consistently deliver on the experience, right? Now you tell your story. The very first place you're going to tell it when you have a tiny, tiny little budget is Facebook. But you're not going to do a pay-per-click campaign. You're not going to pay for clicks. Stop, shame, slap your hand. Don't pay for the clicks. Buy impressions, and buy impressions for 6, maybe 7 miles around the place that you want to service most. Now, here's a little nugget for you. Go on ChatGPT and you say, hey, how many people live in Suwanee, Georgia, which is like a little suburb of Atlanta? And it's going to say, oh, X amount of people over 18 are going to live here. And how many of those are household units? And it's going to go, well, there's X amount of household units. And of those household units, how many of them are going to be rented and how many of them are going to be homeowners? Oh, 35%. You're like, well, what about the next one over, Flower Branch? How much is that? Well, it's 95% homeowner and 5% rental. And all of a sudden you're like, boop, here's my magic little pool of customers that's going to make me $1 million. And all you need to do is tell your story to the 7-mile radius of those people who are going to buy your stuff eventually. And then just work that area. Yard signs, trucks, maybe a billboard if you feel that cheeky, but by George, a billboard is not the right place to spend money early on. It's going to be socials on an impression base. It's going to be more trucks, and it's going to be ideally a physical location that maybe has a little bit of aesthetic to it that people can see because you need the building anyway. So why not just like show up a little bit, use it as
when you say buying impressions, do you find there's a platform better than another platform? Are you just like,
there's one platform. It's Facebook. It's Meta.
Yeah.
Like we can pretend like TikTok or this or the other thing, that the second as you scaled Facebook on impression, then you're starting to look at, well, I could probably, start mixing it. I have more money now. Maybe I do Facebook and I've got up to 5,000 on Facebook. Maybe I'm going to do 2,000 on YouTube. Right, because that's the second best platform outside of Google and Bing and LSA. Yeah. You're going to have your stuff there, but you're going to bleed out in a $200,000 truck, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 truck. Getting out of your first truck and funding another truck, you're going to bleed out.
Purgatory number one.
Purgatory number one. Yeah, it absolutely is, man. That's so true. So the reality is where do you blow? Like, if you're going to blow your cash, if you're going to fight the fight of a formal army, which is your PE, competitors all around you, willing to spend any amount of money possible, you're going to lose. You are going to die horrifically in a bloodbath. Mm-hmm. You have to run it like Che Guevara and Fidel Castro ran it. And guerrilla marketed the crap out of that thing, right? You need to go house to house, door to door, giving love to every single person in your community, having them fall in love with you by any means possible, right? And I do that through club memberships very, very deeply. But at the end of the day, there's lots of different pathways forward. Door hangers, yard signs, free clean and checks, drain and flushes, electrical inspections, all of the things to have people understand that you're their guy and you're going to commit to this 6-7 mile radius. That's it.
If you're going to spend some money to get some impressions on Facebook, are you making a badass video, or are you just like, hey, it's me, it's I'm Barry Little? This Barry does this really well, actually. I'm Barry Little. I'm out here. My boys are just cleaning this gas station. We're working all night. I'm hitting the gym. I'm gonna go work out while they're cleaning this up. I'll be back to check it. I'll catch you guys. Like, are you throwing that out there and boosting it?
Or yeah, that's one path. That's one path, because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm a human, and you're documenting your life, and you're spending $5 on the boost to boost that out, so that 6 mile, 7 mile radius sees it. And sees it and sees it and sees it. What you're trying to do is you're just trying to get a good impression. Now, my argument is going to be no badass videos, but documenting your life is absolutely valuable. Being funny, right? Being humorous. Entertainment is the currency of a too busy public. And my goal is to convince that 7 mile radius 100% of the way that I am their boy. I'm not trying to convince my 70 mile radius that there's a lead out there for sure somewhere. For the love of God, just see my one ad that I'm going to be able to afford to get in front of you this one time, right? Yeah. And convince them 10% of the way, right?
I gotta run. I'm gonna make you watch something right now, and you're just gonna give me the most honest feedback you've ever given anybody.
All right.
So
buckle up.
So the convention I was at last week, I sponsored it, which I don't like sponsoring conventions. Like, the ROI is just not really there. But yeah, is my friends putting it on, and I like supporting my friends. And so I was like, yep, I'm gonna throw a few $1,000 your way, and I'm gonna sponsor this thing. And part of it was I get to run a 60-second ad. I've got like a 3-minute version of this, like a 2-minute version and a 1-minute version. But we were doing a boob event, a business owner outdoor badasses mastermind out ice fishing in Minnesota here. And so we went. I just did some fake testimonials. Like, some of them are my clients, some aren't. But I did a little like, tell us what you think about Best Damn Bookkeeping. So we're gonna do this right now, actually, because I'm just super curious about what you think. Mostly because I've like debated, should I? Hold on a second. Here we go. I gotta get this thing like shared. I've been debating, should I just throw this out on the Facebooks and just like throw a little boost behind it and see if people like it? It's one of those things where, like, it's funny to me. It's funny to everybody that was there. But just funny because it's funny to us, or would other people be like, oh, that's a hilarious thing? Here we go. Are you ready for this? I think. Wait, hold on. I'm going to stop it. I got to make sure I have the thing selected.
You got to do the thing with the
audio. Yeah.
You got to flap the flapper switch.
It's important that I do the audio thing. All right. You ready for this?
In a world where all the data was super disorganized, and they probably ran out of light beer too, there was only one. What's up?
What are you doing?
I was just in here recording a promo video for the Home Service Workshop.
Well, that sounds a little intense. Why don't you just ask your customers what they think?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Before I was a client with Best Damn Bookkeeping, the skies were pretty blue, but I still didn't know where my money was going. Now, I know exactly where my money's going. Dan Plato was able to afford this fish house.
I realized my number was off. Called my buddy Daniel here, and I had a 0 credit score, and now I have an 890.
We owed $97,000 in taxes last year, and Dan picked the bill up himself.
This is the best promo video ever. All seriousness, your bookkeeping is the most important tool you have in your business. It is the number one thing you use to make decisions with, and that's how you make more money. So if you want better bookkeeping done weekly with a video analysis every single month by a dedicated account manager, scan that QR code or just see me at my booth. Peace. That's it. That was it. There's like a 3-minute version with all kinds of real stupid shit in there. But
the stupider the better. Like, no, that is world class. Fantastic. You would fit in so well at the Wizard Academy. You would just get along famously with the people that are teaching what we're teaching there, because you got it right. You understood that no one is going to pay attention to the boring, Charlie Brown teacher nonsense.
Especially when you're talking about bookkeeping,
right?
It's really nobody's going to pay attention.
You say bookkeeping, and they're already like turning around and putting their jacket on and leaving.
Oh, yeah,
right. So that's the thing is like, let's win the game by connecting with people and showing your human side. The companies that are most successful with us every single time, the companies are most successful, certainly the ones who have a sense of humor, but the operators themselves are just like OODA looping all the time, like just quick decision, and they're just making those nudge trajectory shifts, moving forward all the time. But they're also values based, right? they're showing you what they truly value, like you truly value a sense of humor, and that you understand empathetically and competently what the thing is that you need to do, and that we have the thing to solve your problem. But like, we can do it with a little bit of a smile on our face, and it doesn't have to be torture like this, some medieval dungeon, right? It's a beautiful thing what you did, and that's perfect. That's so perfect.
I should put a couple bucks behind it and let her
Please run that ad.
At least for a little bit of entertainment for everybody.
But don't run an ad to the universe. Run an ad to one place where you know you want to do some business.
I don't know enough about Facebook ads, but since and I don't know if you do this for your guys' business. I assume you can do it like industry specific or like demographic specific versus geographic specific, right?
Well, I'm not a Facebook guy. I'm not going to be your keyboard boy. But
I don't know.
What I'm going to say is that you can do a lookalike audience, which would look an awful like the clients that you already have in your client list.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that lookalike audience, Facebook will go out and get it wrong a whole bunch until they get it right, and it'll take about 1,000 click-throughs. And one of the real clever ways that you can do that, run it on impression, don't run it on click. Don't try get clicks. You're going to waste your money on clicks. How do I know this? Because a real smart guy who knows a lot more than me and spends millions of dollars a month testing things at a little company called Digital Marketer that makes many hundreds of millions of dollars is testing this stuff and said, no, clicks are a waste of time. You'll get just enough to convince yourself that you're doing something that matters, and you'll bleed yourself out with the crappiest client base. Instead, do this: get an impression, get that lookalike audience, and run an impression-based campaign. Just frequency. Get the love out there, because they're going to laugh at, they're going to have a fun time, and they're going to give you a click, right? And then their guy's going to let them down that's letting them down right now, and you're going to get a chance to actually do the thing, right, of selling them and doing the thing. So once that thing is done, when they're clicking through, have a little thing that says, are you a home service a business owner, or are you an accountant, or are you something else? And if for everyone that clicks on the home service business owner, right, that's the success pixel on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
And what that does is it spices the algorithm. We call it seasoning the algorithm. That's what I call it, right?
I like to cook. You're speaking my language,
right? Yeah, like a proper cast iron pan. You got to season that stuff, right? So season the algorithm, and now the algorithm's going, well, hold my beer. I know who these people are. Like Cambridge Analytica told me that I'm not allowed to tell you who they are, but I still know who they are, right? Yeah. And I'm going to show you those people because we put the pixel on. I'm a home service business owner.
Oh yeah, Jai, when you're editing, snap that one. That's gold.
That's the one. That's the money right there. It's going to take you a couple of months, depending on how much budget you put behind it. You're basically looking for 1,000.
I'll spend all my wife's money, Ryan. I'll spend
all of it. It's like, oh yeah, she's independently wealthy, so I mean, it's like,
I'll just keep her distracted with the 2-year-old, and then I'll just be like, oh, yeah, a little more ad spend, a little more.
That's right. Boop. Right. It's like the kid who got the parents' credit card, and all of a sudden start buying a bunch of Amazon stuff.
Is there a good to like A/B test something? Oh, we got Ron Musgraves checking in. What's up, Ron? Howdy, Ron. Good.
Hello, Ron.
Is there if you're gonna throw something out there like that? Do you find there's a like, put this much behind it or put this much behind it just to be able to get enough mojo?
The answer is put as much money behind it as you can feel comfortable about. Like $5 a day is probably like the baseline, and put $5 a day for 5 days a week behind it, and just do something each week.
You're basically buying lunch. Actually, $5 a day doesn't buy you lunch. You probably do $10 a day. That's
do
lunch.
$10 a day and eat PB&J from home. Right.
I skip lunch to work out every day, so that $10 is just building up. I should probably put it in some ads.
That's we were calling it. That's your gains right there.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
Today I did not get a workout in. A half-hour call turned into a 2-hour call.
Right.
So I skipped the workout. You have to double up tomorrow.
You do, yeah. And if you ate a box of Kraft dinner, Oh, sorry, I'm from Canada. Kraft dinner is macaroni and cheese in Canada.
I'm down with that. We went to Chipotle, and I'm still too full.
Right? You're not having no beers. You got a little burrito belly going on. It's like you don't have a beer belly.
I just have a tequila, a big ass tequila, and it's about gone. But
wow, Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was that kind of show. I would have.
It's happy hour. It's always happy hour on home.
I mean, it does feel happy. I'm blessed to have joined the acquaintance of Chris Voss, who wrote the book Never Split the Difference. He's an FBI negotiator, and now he teaches a negotiation. And I'm a sales guy. Sales and closing are my gig, and I've written some strategy around sales. Have been for about 30 years, so I have some pretty solid stuff that works really great in the home service space. And I'm like, we're together. We're having a little jibber jabber. He interviewed me for a show once, and then we got to know each other. And now we opened up a celebrity brand bourbon. So we have the bourbon called the Difference Business Bourbon, TM. Like not every bourbon in the whole world is not business bourbon, but none of those jagoffs actually TM'd it. Yeah. Right. The key is to register the trademark is the key.
That's an important thing for
is to register it. Otherwise it's just a really great idea. And so we did, and then we found this guy, Jim Rutledge, who's like the godfather of blending bourbons in Louisville, Kentucky. 83 years old, brilliant,
Kentucky,
brilliant dude. Yeah, like that's the only place you're allowed, right? So it's he's like takes us through these rick houses at Bardstown, where there's like tens of thousands of barrels of bourbon there. And he goes, well, I mixed this one back in 2014 and you guys got to try some of this. So they take out the whiskey thief, which is like this little rod thing. And they're taking out and they're tasting these things. And they just find these like 200 series magical barrels. But one of those 200 is just like this, like something from the gods, right? It's just magical. Nectar. So that's our founding barrel that we're putting out there. $2,500 a bottle, but you can't buy it anywhere. You have to join a shareholder society, and the shareholder society is the whole theme around never split the difference. We don't never split your drinks, always share them, right? And it's for the big business deals in life and the celebrations that you have around success and business deals and all those things for those who do partake. And for those who don't, it's a nice sniff and a good enjoyment around people. We're going to actually be looking at doing some non-alcoholic spirits for those who want to participate but not
be a part of it.
Drink, yeah.
So not participate.
Exactly. So storytelling, it's like it's the quintessential. Like we quite literally at Wizard Academy, we have the whiskey marketing school, which is why we have over 4,000 bottles of whiskey and one of the largest private reserves of whiskey in North America, and in this giant vault attached to the 16th century Spanish conquistador tower. I hope I'm not painting a crazy picture.
It's weird. I mean, but like, what cooler place to go sip a little whiskey on the rocks?
Like any whiskey that you could have possibly imagined being a whiskey that you would want to sample, the weirdest, rarest, strangest stuff that you'd ever seen from all around the world is going to be in this place, because that's the whole theme of it. And what we did is we basically said, hey, we understand how to build tribes. We understand how to do marketing. Why don't we just use whiskey and teach people how to do marketing for their business, but just using the whiskey as the storytelling tool? So we do that, but then we open these two channels, Daniel and Rex Williams, Roy's son, Rex, and Daniel, who's the chancellor of the school at Wizard Academy. And they become the two largest whiskey channels in the world. And then they build a distillery called the Grouted Barrel with 100% crowdsourced funds for free. Yeah. They build this thing, and then a sampling room called the Fang and Feather, and they're just about to open up.
People like it. That's just how much people like it. That you can
just how much people like it, right? Yeah. And whiskey, but it's taking the pompousness out of whiskey, just like. And now it's the only place in the world, literally the only place in the whole wide world, where you can go and you can become a whiskey sommelier. Legal designation.
Oh damn! You get you get a badge, you get a card.
You get like one of those, like the little, like the FBI had. No, what you actually get is you get this garish gold chain and with this huge friggin' medal, and there's 6 of them that you get when you've done all 6 levels of the course, and it's just these obnoxious huge medallions that tell people that you're the dude.
You're who Flava Flav always wanted to be.
It's right. If he was a whiskey guy, like there you go. So, for me to have gotten into the bourbon thing for funsies, and to drink, bourbon with Chris Voss and a whole bunch of other cool dudes and girls, it's just fantastic, right?
That's an all right way to do it. That's an all
right.
right
So like these are the kinds of things that you want to have at your boob events and whatnot, and that's the whole point, right? Is to have this melting pot, this communal point where you can hang and have some sort of connection and bond. And that's what these things are, right? It's about building tribes, and that's not much different than the club memberships that you're trying to build for your business.
Yeah. What where do you see things going for Wizard of Ads and the school? Like what's the trajectory? What's the path? What's the how big does the movement get?
Well, it gets
movement. That's the thing I used. I don't know if that's the right word. Words are important.
It is, it gets big. It's gotten big. When I started, there was 56 partners. There's now 80. We anticipate in the next 5 years that we're going to see somewhere in the realm of 120 to 150 partners worldwide. We pay an intimate amount of attention to digital AI and all of those other things that affect marketing. But, the universal truths of communication, they ain't changing, right? The things that we knew 100,000 years ago and 10,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago are the same things that we know today about the psychology and biology of people, the cultures and how they impact people. We know the predictability of people, and what's going to change is the means in which we do the work for the companies and the channels in which people are going to consume, and their search is going to has and will change. Search used to be on Yellow Pages. Now it's on Google, and it's going to move to generative search, and it's going to be eventually a lot of voice, a lot of wearables that you're just going to be like asking your glasses, what I'm gonna, who's the best air conditioning company for me, not near me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I picture a lot of people doing like Mr. Anderson from The Matrix,
right? Or like tapping the chest with the little like yeah. This, yes. Yeah, a lot of that. Right.
Because now, like 10 years ago, you'd be driving down the road and you would see somebody like talking, and you would think they were like talking to themselves, and then you'd see like, oh, they got a little Bluetooth earpiece in their ear, like they're they're on the
whole thing. I like the people that really like just committed to that, and they're like, you know what? Screw AirPods. Screw looking like a normal person. Screw looking like I don't even know why this person is just talking to the air. Right? I'm gonna go for old school Bluetooth, like obnoxious big
poof.
Oh yeah, it's a poof, right? Yeah. And it's like there's a thing there, like it's like Janet Jackson 20 years ago on right? Like we're committed.
Now it's just gonna be like, we're not going to know how to send other people a signal that we're actually talking to our AI or somebody else. So we're going to need some sort of like, you put your finger, I don't know where you put it.
Maybe like a flag or like some sort of like little laser like beam will shoot up, and it's
it goes like what's the movie? Hunger Games, where you get like the little thing above your head.
Yeah,
like a little floating thing above your head. Like,
right.
Sorry,
they're on the phone.
I didn't realize you were talking to yourself right now. My bad, dog. Say
hi to Jim for me. Yeah.
We're gonna have to have a flag. We're gonna have to have some sort of signal, the bat signal.
Exactly. Right. So, I heard, think of something. They're smart.
So I'm such a redneck outdoorsy dude that I'm like I'm a little gun shy of AI, just in that I don't, and I'm not naive to AI, but I'm like gun shy of it in that I don't generally like it. I prefer pure human interaction, and I like a stop where computers are tools and not necessarily thinkers, but that's such a spectrum and a gray area. But when they start taking over for the thinking of humans, it gets me a little worried, and I go right to like The Matrix and iRobot and all the movies where the machines start to take over.
They take over. I mean, it's the beginning of the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that scares me a little bit. But I'll just go hunt and fish all the time. Whatever.
And there's, I mean, AI don't need to hunt or fish because they don't need food. So you'll survive. You'll be fine.
That's what I'm thinking. But I also heard a great line when I was down at Home Service Workshop last week, which was, it's not that AI is going to replace you. It's the dude that uses AI that's going to replace you.
It's the dude that's like, 100%.
Shit, that's totally right. It's out there. It's going to be there. It's
But
what the world's doing.
Just think about your monthly analysis of your clients that you have, and you've got 3 years worth of analysis. And you feed all of those into an AI, a closed system that's not going to be leaked out to the universe. And that, earlier generations had those issues. Today's generations are closed boxes. You're safe with most of everything that you're going to put data into that's client and or that's sensitive in nature.
Proprietary AI.
Yeah. But now you can take it and you can go, okay, let's just talk to the AI and analyze this thing for a bit. The way you know how to analyze things, like if you're like, all right, now let's look at the cost per revenue for every single piece, and bring out every single piece with over the last 3 years that has been anomalous outside of the standard parameters of expenditures. Regardless of what expense it is, and maybe you've preset those, and maybe you talk the AI through those presets, and you're like, oh, okay, we're spending too much money on rent, or we're starting to get a 17% increase in maintenance costs on our vans. That's all done in minutes now.
Yeah,
what used to take us hours. Right. And it's having that interactive thing, and it's like, this is what you're seeing, right? We're seeing a trend line increase on expense here, and here. These ones fall outside of expected parameters based off of revenue growth. Okay, well, now we've got to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And it's a question of, do we get a new van or not? And that makes you just fundamentally more powerful as an advisor to do the thing that needs to be done next, which is to make your customers as much money as they possibly can. Because when we save money and we make more money, the difference is what we get to keep after we've paid Doge. I think that's
whoever it is now.
We just pay right to Doge. We just skip all the. I don't think there is any other departments now.
Yeah, we don't have any other departments left. Doge is the treasury. You
have to pay it in Doge coin, I think, too. Yeah, so you have to get it to Bitcoin and then convert it to Doge coin, and that should wipe out the debt in a year. And let's hope it does, because frankly, I'm being a little bit facetious and silly, but at the end of the day, I'm very cautiously optimistic, just due to the absolute shocking pace at which things are going.
They're just like, like, we get one shot at this, we're gonna just rip as many band-aids as we can, and I'm like, I'm here for it. Let's see what happens.
Ooh! It's like we're all kind of like excited. It's like we're on the roller coaster, but we're just kind of chunking up to the top of the first fucking like.
You hear the it's going up, and you're like, oh, we're still going.
We're still going. It's like, oh, there's like, wow, that many, huh? Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting. If buy a new air conditioner this year, that's what I say. Get your hot water tank and your air conditioner and your new electric panel and solar. Invest in Tesla stock, for the love of God. Invest in Tesla stock, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, if you're worried about it, you better buy some home services and take care of your stuff.
Right, you get batten down the hatches here. Like, let's not mess around. Like, let's make sure that that's in good working order.
It is funny to me that I think, and I don't get into politics. I observe it hilariously, but I don't talk to anybody that's like, oh yeah, our government needs to be bigger. We need to be more inefficient, right? And then,
you know what the best part of government is the bureaucrats. I can't get myself enough bureaucrats.
Yeah, I just want
more of those
opinions about how to spend all of our money inefficiently and take time off.
I need more people yelling inside the Senate, like more people yelling like really loud at each other.
Yeah, so we can ensure nobody can hear anything and nothing gets done. That would be
nothing ever gets done.
And it's funny. It's like the minute chips start falling, everybody's like, "Oh, well, not that." It's like,
oh, come on.
What the hell did you want? Like, what did you expect? We're like, and I saw somebody's post about, like, they did the old, I don't know if you would call it trolling or gaslighting or whatever the terms are these days, but they did a post about, like, oh, my buddy came in to my business and we were doing this, and then he fired this person, fired that person, and this person created that much value, and blah 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 blah. And then at the end of it, he's like, hey, thanks this person for letting me use your name, right? He was making a joke of Trump and Doge, and I was like, yeah, but the only difference is in the real world, that business would have been out of business decades ago. They wouldn't have existed anymore.
That's
Due
right.
to how shitty they've been run and how inefficient they are. Like they just didn't have citizens to like borrow all the money from in other countries to borrow the money from. They would have went out of business a long time ago. This facetious business that you're making up has already been out of business for at least like 3 decades.
That's it.
It's funny, but it doesn't really work.
It was very telling. Like, I mean, there's a few very telling things about what's going on. Like Elon Musk's, when you start looking at Tesla, and it has, in comparison to any other car company, infinitely more cap value and market value than any other long-standing automotive company in the world by multiples. Right? Yeah. That's an indicator. That shows us something. The other thing is, like, I think he was talking to Joe Rogan, and he's like, yeah, how's Twitter doing? He's like, yeah, well, turns out that it's actually really efficient to run a company when you just stop censoring everyone, and fire all these people who are spending all this time censoring people. And whether or not you appreciate or not that sentiment, the sentiment from a business perspective is like, yeah, like there's an awful lot of businesses that have an awful lot of people who are doing an awful lot of stuff that adds really no value. They're just extra weight on the flywheel.
Oh yeah.
Right. They're rust. They're misaligned ball bearings. They're misaligned parts, or they're just slowing everything down. Right.
Yeah, they're just doing work for the sake of doing work. They don't even know why they're doing the work anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's just grind out. And when you really start to criticize your business, boys, one of my favorite clients is just an absolute rock star, and he's started off at 13 million with us. He's over 60 million now, and he's just like, his $60 million business has like 12 CSRs. Like most people would have 60 now. It's like, no, we automated most of that shit. We don't even do outbounding. That's all just done by Hatch or Chirp or whatever. Yeah. And he's got like 50 campaigns running, and it's just about setting the automations and getting that part right so that the lead flow kind of continues to propagate itself, and it's just easy for people to do because they've trained their clients how to do it as much as anybody else. And then the CSRs are really valuable, and they're high productivity people doing what they do really, really well, and not messing around with make work projects half the time.
Yeah. They know how to drive revenue instead of just create a cost.
This is it. Like, he's running his marketing department with him and 2 ladies who basically we help facilitate, and just get all of the things done across 8 markets and 3 different brands. And you look at that, you're like, man, like, I know companies at the same volume as you that it would have 10 people in that marketing department. Right, all losing their damn mind that they were too busy that they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Oh yeah, if you ask them like how their day is going, they don't even tell you how their day is going. They're like, I'm so swamped.
Yeah,
like, that wasn't the question I asked you, but
yeah. but man, like, why are we making it so hard? Like, stop. Like, just get rid of all that stuff and find some automations and AIs that are servicing you well and fill a gap where necessary. Work really good at tightening up less things, but better on the less things that you do. And you'll find that your business just runs infinitely better in all the things that you don't do, right? The things you choose to lose. Heck, inventory, just inventory. Good Lord. I mean, the obvious benefits of consignment and VMI and all those other things. But more importantly, just like, I don't know how many companies I've seen that are just trying to be the Ken Goodriches of this world, but they have like 17 different ways that they can sell a 3.5 ton split system. You're like, or they have a hot water tank. Like, there's like 17 different choices in hot water tank. Dude,
it's like a Thai restaurant.
This is it. Like
menu, man.
It is like that, and that is not the way to win this game. That People get confused. People have no idea what you're selling. People think they know what they're talking about that have no idea. What we need to do is educate our people and demonstrate our competence through our confidence in saying, this is the one we choose, here's why, and it's the best one for you. Here's the curated list of inventory that we're selling you, which is actually just 3 different ways of selling either the same or very similar products. But that clutter then goes from you taking 3 weeks to get the thing to getting one out in 90 minutes and being installed that day, right?
I have that conversation with a lot of our clients right when they are chasing shiny objects. And we all do it. We all do it. And I think people are at their worst from when they get to me at like $200,000 up until we get them to around $1 million. They can't help themselves because they get a little bit of success. And then they're like, I want to go do it over there. I want to do it with this other thing. And I'm like, no, at least until you're doing $1 million, like of a fastball, like don't even think about anything else because it just slows down the thing you're really good at. I'm like, variable elimination is the most valuable thing you have in your business. Do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and be the best at it. So nobody has any doubt about how it's done, why it's done, when it's done, what that system and process is. Like there will be a point in time when you hit saturation of that, but why fuck with anything else when you can still keep doing more of that? Like why be decent at a couple things when you can be world class at one thing? And everybody knows you're world class at it.
You know, you're unplugging the money printing machine to plug in the coin counter. It's like, it's like
somebody want to change. Somebody wants change. Like just give them the whole damn dollar back.
Come on, like less is more. That's the thing. Less is more. Be true to yourself. Hold to your values. Stand for something. For God's sake, stand for something. Right? Stand against other things, stand against the injustices, and tell people that you're standing against it. Value-based companies that have a bit of a sense of humor and do good work, they're the ones who are going to win. But I'm sorry, I just gave away all of my entire secret sauce.
Yep, right now everybody knows it.
Gosh darn it. Everyone is going to be the best value-based company that just stands for something and does good work. And now, right? Now I'm out of a job.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Let me know if you need a job tomorrow. I need a couple more account managers. We'll find something for you to do here.
Thank you. Yeah. Can we go ice fishing?
Hell yeah. Well, actually, no, we can't. It's been so damn warm out here. I don't know that there's any ice left anymore.
It's just fishing now. It's just called that fishing. Yeah.
Now it's called falling through the ice. Now it's going for a dip probably.
Yeah. Sounds a bit nipply, but probably spot on for the boob team.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be a slogan on a t-shirt for sure. for the ice fishing outing, it's going to definitely be. It's getting a bit nipply out. Time for the ice fishing trip.
Bit nipply.
I got boobs unite. 2x2. Everybody in a pair. This is no total recall. What are the 3 of you guys doing together? Everybody.
Whoa.
Yeah, everybody knows we use the buddy system here.
Stop making it weird.
Yeah. We're like approaching the 2-hour mark, which I love. But it's gonna be midnight for you pretty soon.
They're gonna kick us off the Facebook if we keep going.
Somebody's gonna be pissed. I got one more closing question for you. We got to hit the closer. Before I hit the closer, how does somebody get a hold of you? What's the best way to engage if they're like, hey, I think I got to talk to this Ryan guy and see if I can get some help?
Yeah, lots of pathways in. RyanShute.com. Wizard Ryan Chute is all my social handles. RyanShute.com is my website that takes you to Wizard of Ads and to exit strategies and exit ready and some of the other stuff that we're building out as far as helping customers, our clients, grow their businesses and exit profitably. And all the other interesting little weird things that I'm doing. You can join me in New York on June 2nd for a Broadway show with Chris Voss. It's one night only.
I saw that on your email. I was like, man. What is this?
Yeah,
no, they're singing. You got the chords.
Like a quartet, like it's like a choir. Like everyone who became a producer is like, all right, now there's a singing gig in this thing. So,
oh shit.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to practice and stuff.
Yeah.
So
shower ever since.
There's we live this life once. Let's have some fun. Let's go in and lean in. If you love selling and you really want to just kind of just like live in that space and really just understand persuasion and influence at a level that you're gonna get anywhere. Those are the kinds of experiences you want to have, like hanging out with a bunch of really cool people who are all pointed upwards and making things happen, you know.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Telling cool stories, because those stories stick, right? And
Dude,
that's a beautiful thing.
I know we didn't get to this, but when I do recruiting, and I mentioned earlier, I own part of a recruiting company, and my big thing is I do group interviews. Like when I'm hiring account managers for our bookkeeping business, I'll do a group interview. I don't ask them any questions.
Yeah.
I just tell stories. I tell the origin story. I tell a story about every core value that we have. I tell stories about all the stuff that we suck at, all the stuff we're really good at.
Fantastic.
And it's like 45 minutes of me telling some stories. And then I have them opt in. And it's actually kind of cool. Like I do mine digitally, but I'll do like 10 people at a time. I can tell who's going to follow me for the rest of their life. Like if you're watching their nonverbals when you're telling stories, you know immediately who's going to follow you and who's kind of like, okay, am I going to get a paycheck or what? Like, you know, who's there for a job and who's there like, this is the last job I'm ever going to have. How cool is this?
That's right.
I'll go anywhere with this guy.
You get your clipboard out and you're like, all right, John Smith, you can head out now.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't pass the who gives a shit meter test. Yeah.
It is super funny, but like stories. Everybody loves a story. And you know the extroverts, because they always try to tell you a story back.
Yeah.
When you're telling a story, the extrovert can't help himself.
They
always
can't help
tell you a story
themselves.
back.
Yeah.
They got nothing. So here's my this is a story that you haven't lived yet. You're gonna make up this story right now. This is my closing question. Let's say the home service industry doesn't even exist. I don't know what parallel universe we're living in, but it doesn't have a home service industry. And so you got to go find something to do tomorrow. It's got to make a few bucks. Somebody's got to be willing to pay you. But it's your choice of how you want to take this thing, but it can't be home service related, and you got to go do something tomorrow. That would be the thing you would love to do the most and could scrounge up a few bucks. What would you go do?
Love to do. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I mean, it would automatically go to being a business. If I had to have a job and it was like Ryan going getting a job, and I was just outside of my universe of selling and stuff, then I would go into the military. I'd do psyops. I would do something on the psychological side of military.
Sweet. Why? Like, is it like breaking down how people think? Is it like a service passion? It
has nothing.
That you have some military experience.
Yeah, no, it is not a service passion in that regard. It is an understanding the psychology, biology, and sociology of people at the more intimate level. Like they have figured out fantastic tactic. They understand and explore things in the most bizarre ways. Then I just find it all quite fascinating, and I know that I'd be fairly good at it.
That's always a good reason to pick something, is you use like a cheat code if you're good at it. That makes it more fun immediately.
Yeah. It's just the way my brain works, and not look, in those worlds, a lot of it has to do with intent, and a lot of it is manipulation. But you know, I'm in a world with home services where it is. The choice is I'm intending to serve people at the highest level. That's persuasion, right? And I think this whole world comes down to duality, and that we're really choosing to either manipulate or persuade, and it really just is determined by who wins in the outcome, right? If you're helping your customer get over their mental limiting beliefs to do a thing that is good for them and serves them at the highest level, then I am really, really comfortable with selling all day.
I have never heard the words manipulate and persuade the way you just said them, and thought of them as like arch nemesis. Like I think in my mind, just as a simpleton, I just kind of put them in the same bucket of like, oh, you're just trying to convince somebody to do something. But manipulate has a very solidly negative connotation in my mind.
Yep, it's a negative intent to serve yourself. Yep.
Yeah, and as you said, persuade, I was like, oh yeah, like you're always trying to not sell is like the nomenclature, but like you're always worrying about that perception and persuasion of I want people to think a certain way about me and how I interact and what I'm bringing to the table and if they can trust me, right? And like what my level of integrity is, and all just like it just clicked for me. Like persuasion is not a negative.
No,
It's just I want you to be able to see through all the shit and see who Dan is. Like,
that's it. And this is goes right back to the earliest part of our conversation. You know, to tie a bow on this whole adventure
like you're like
we've
a
been
good
on.
comedian. You're like a great
Right?
comedian right now. Bring it
This
back.
is it. Right, yeah. As it circles into the finish here, it is absolutely about the words. Right, people have assigned negativity to to manipulation, and some people have assigned negativity to persuasion. Right, because they feel as though they were persuaded into something that they had cognitive dissonance about. They felt bad about it. Right. Well, when we just figure out how to agree on the set of terms that we're using, our culture gets better, our buying experience gets better, our marketing gets better, our relationships with our wife and our kids get better, and we all just stack hands on a direction of what this term stands for to me, and in some cases we're going to have to compromise what those are. Right, some people have traumas that are attached to those that you are not going to change their behavior because you can't change their belief. Right, so when we recognize that, we can speak to the masses and get a predictable response, right? Knowing that some of these things are going to incite and others are going to excite. And we're really just playing the game of odds to know that for everything that we do that's going to stand out, that we're going to have haters. And if we don't have haters, we didn't stand out.
Yeah, it's actually like a frustrating truth.
It is a frustrating. That's the truth of duality. For every proverb, there's an equal and opposite proverb, and the reality is that there is no way to please everyone. So don't try to pick who you want to talk to and talk to them, because now you're going to have something that somebody will listen to. And for the majority of the world, a whole bunch of other nodding heads just start happening. It's like, yeah, no, like that makes sense, right? Like we're goofing around about Elon Musk and Trump. Like, I'm a Canadian. I'm a bit indifferent to the whole thing, right? But I enjoy it, and I'm optimistic about it. I could be shitty about Trump and tariffs on Canada and all the other things, but why? Like, that's not, the world is going to continue to turn. The sun is going to rise in the morning, and we're going to go at it again. Let's just make the best of what we got and lean into the things and play the game that's being played to the best of our abilities to serve the people that we serve, both internally, near us, and in our greater tribes that we care about.
Yeah. You don't get to dictate the field, right?
You
like
don't.
the political atmosphere, the AI, what like the world is doing is what the world's doing.
So well said, Dan. So well said.
And you just don't. You get to coach and you get to quarterback, but you don't. And you get to decide who's the point guard or whatever sports analogy you want to make.
All of them. Yeah. Let's get a touchdown with the home run and the 3-pointer.
If the court is slippery or the basket's 12 feet high instead of 10 feet high, everybody's playing on that same damn court. So don't make excuses. Right. Just go play ball.
That's it.
Ryan, that was a ton of fun, dude. I feel like we could just keep talking for hours, but at some point I got to pee here and you got to go to bed. So we'll wrap her up. We'll wrap her up to the next time. But any closing comments? Any closing words for the fans?
Listen, I'm super grateful for this. I'm more than happy to help anyone who's looking for help. My goal is always to find people who are pointing in the right direction with the right attitude about things. I don't care how much you're making, big or small, right? We're here to serve people who want to get to the next level, and we're all trying to do our different breakthroughs at different levels. And I've been there from 0 to 1 billion. So let's get at it and figure out how we can help you.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. We'll close it out. Business nerds, thanks for tuning in. You guys know what to do. Work smarter and harder. Go earn some pride. We'll see you next week back here on Home Service Happy Hour. Peace out.
Peace.